Ajay Chetri, your environmental study professor. Today we will try to learn about resources. Okay, so over here in this beautiful picture, you can see different resources of our earth. Okay, all these resources are available in our earth. So along your left hand side, you can see animal resources, wind resources. Wind as a energy, it can be used as a resource. Oil resources, soil as a resource, coal as a resource, forest, water, and solar energy as a resource. Later on, we will learn about different categories and classification of resources, how they have been classified. Okay, so to start with, resource refer to all the materials which are available in our environment, but that has to be technologically accessible. Okay, here the term technologically accessible means we should have that technology to access it. I'll try to give you an example. In the Stone Age, human civilization was not that advanced that although iron, petroleum, and other things were available on the earth, but there was no technology to access it, to use it, right? So for Stone Age people, iron, different kinds of metal, petroleum product was not a resource. It was available on our earth, but that was not resource because technologically it was not accessible, right? They were using stone as tool for hunting, for different kind of purpose, for their livelihood. Okay, so resource has to be technologically accessible. I'll try to give you one modern example also. Right now we use petrol and its byproduct to run our cars, to run our factories, companies, and in other different purpose. uh, on the contrary, we do have different other materials which are available, but certain things like nuclear power, and like biomass, right? These are very technologically inaccessible right now to common people. Okay, so it has to be economically feasible also. Why it has to be economically feasible? Because if you try to use biofuel, okay, biofuel means fuel from natural forest or natural vegetation. Okay, so a different kind of crop residuals or different kind of grasses can be used to produce fuel, which can be used for different purpose, to even to run your car, but the cost of production is very high. Okay, the cost of manufacturing is very high. To give you an example only, a liter of biofuel can cost you up to thousands of rupee, right? On the contrary, petrol or diesel is available within 100 rupees. So obviously, due to economically feasibility, we use these resources, and it has to be culturally sustainable, which means culturally sustainable means it has to be easy to use, it can be preserved for our coming generation, and we can pass on these resources to our coming generation as well, right? So resource basically help us to satisfy our needs and wants. Whatever our needs and wants are, resource will satisfy that. Resource can be broadly classified on the basis of availability, on the basis of origin. Okay, so these are the different types of resource. Natural resources, natural resources are derived from basically environment. Many natural resources are essential for human survival. There are plenty of things which are the basic resource without which you cannot survive. All right, while there are other kind of resources which are there just to satisfy our desire, okay, our need as well as our greed. Okay, conservation is the key, it is the vital point for the management of natural resources. Without conservation, the goal actually is of sustainability. Resource has to be used in such a manner, in a perfect way, so that it can be used for our coming generation. Natural resource may be further classified in different ways on the basis of, I've already told you, on the basis of origin, on the basis of distribution. For example, broadly on the basis of distribution, okay, on the basis of distribution, natural resource can be classified as ubiquitous resource. Ubiquitous resource are those kind of resource which are available everywhere. Okay, for example, air, okay, sunlight and water, these are the basic resource which are available everywhere. Okay, and the second category on the basis of distribution is localized resources. These are the resources which are found in certain parts of the world only, in certain areas only. For example, metal ores, geothermal power, petroleum products, they are other, their list are unending. These resources are available on a particular place only. Okay, so hydro power is also one of the localized resource. Hydro power cannot be available everywhere, right? It need an suitable environment to produce hydroelectricity. So again, resource can be categorized on the basis of origin also. On the basis of origin, resources are classified as abiotic resources and biotic resources. So let us try to learn these things into detail. Okay, natural resource, anything and everything that is available naturally on earth is a natural resource. Okay, what are natural resources? These are thing which can be anything to everything, okay, which are available naturally. So resources classification on the base of origin, how they have been origin. Okay, biotic, abiotic. Biotic resources are like human beings, animal, plants, etc., which have life. When you called it a biotic resource, it has to have a life. Okay, so it has to have a life cycle in the sense. Abiotic resources are like air, water, temperature, soil, metal, rock, stones, etc., which doesn't have any life. You can term it as living and non-living things in that sense. So biotic and abiotic resource can be renewable as well as non-renewable. Okay, it can be renewed as well as it cannot be renewed also in one way. So because the classification is on the basis of origin, so it can be a renewable or non-renewable. Again, resources can be classified on the basis of availability. On the basis of availability, resources can be classified as renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources are almost all elements of nature which can renew themselves, which can be renewed or which can renew themselves. For example, sunlight, wind, water, forests, etc. Non-renewable resources are limited in their quantity. Okay, like fossil fuel and minerals, though these resources take millions of years to form, they would eventually get over within our lifetime if we use them continuously. So these are limited. Non-renewable means limited resource. Once you use it, it will vanish from our environment. Okay, we cannot regenerate it, we cannot recreate it. Nature does not provide that opportunity for its renewability. Whereas in case of renewable like sunlight, wind, water and forest, they renew themselves. Again, one more category has to be added over here. One more category is potentially renewable resource. Okay, that has to be added here. Why potentially renewable resource? Why? Because water, especially drinking water, forest resource, these are categorized under potentially renewable resources under the category of renewable resource. Okay, this is the subcategory of renewable resource. Renewable can be two type. One is normal renewable resources, one is potentially renewable resources. Because in case of drinking water, if we keep on impurifying our water, polluting our water, in that case the water will be available. Of course water will be available, but drinking water can be a problem. Similarly, for in case of forest resource need ample time for its renewability. Okay, if you clear a patch of forest, when we deforest particular area for it, it will take 20 years or more than 20 years to regenerate the same quantity and quality of forest. Similarly, on the same line, if we clear the forest and concrete the structure, right, in case of constructing road, in case of constructing the buildings, houses, settlement, forest cannot grow over there. So this is the reason why drinking water and forest are categorized under potentially renewable resource, subcategorized actually of the renewable resource. Okay. Uh, these are the different property characteristics of renewable and non-renewable resources. In case of renewable resources, it can be renewed as it is available in infinite quantity. Okay, in case of non-renewable, once completely consumed, it cannot be renewed due to limited stock. Second point is sustainable in nature. Renewable resources are sustainable in nature and non-exhaustible in nature. Okay, whereas non-renewable are exhaustible in nature. Renewable resource have a low cost and they are environment friendly, whereas non-renewable resources are of high cost and they are very less environment friendly, like petroleum products and byproducts, coal. When we use them, it creates lots of pollution, so they are less environment friendly. Okay, replenish quickly, so also called as replenishable resource. They regenerate themselves very quickly, so they are also known as replenishable resources. In case of non-renewable resource, they replenish very slowly, or in most of the cases do not replenish naturally at all. Okay, they doesn't renew themselves naturally at all. So example of renewable are water, forest, wildlife, etc. And example of non-renewable are fossil fuel, metal, different kinds of ore, okay, petroleum products, etc. So again, this is the flow chart of resource. Resource has been classified as perpetual and non-renewable. Perpetual means renewable resource. Okay, under perpetual you have solar energy, direct solar energy, and wind, tide, flowing water. Okay, then under non-renewable you have fossil fuel, metallic minerals, non-metallic minerals. So I've also told you that third category, which is potentially renewable. Okay, provided ample time is given, they can renew themselves, like fresh air. Metropolitan cities doesn't have fresh air, okay, like us. In Himalayan state, most of the hill state, we have fresh air. People come to hill for good environment, right? But in case of metropolitans, due to the continuous pollution, the quality of the air has decreased. Okay, so fresh air, fresh water, fertile soil. If you keep on adding different chemicals, if you keep on adding different kinds of non natural product to the soil, it will to a certain point, what will happen is that it will become unproductive land. So fertility is also fertility soil. Basically entire category of soil is a renewable, but fertile soil, when we talk about fertile soil, it comes under the potentially renewable resource. And plants and animals also, right? So especially when we talk about biodiversity, a particular biodiversity, once we destroy it, it cannot be created. It take a huge time to regenerate. So these are potentially renewable resource. So basically we have renewable, which is also known as perpetual, then non-renewable, then potentially renewable resource. Okay, so this is the distribution. Natural resource, we have got 10 percentage as wind power. We use this kind of resources. Our this classification is broadly based on our use, how we use them. Okay, how human being use them. So 10 percentage it comes from wind, 54 comes from forest resource. So forest resource are key player for the human civilization, for human utilization. Okay, we use most of the things from forest resource. 24 percentage comes from animal resource, 32 from natural gas, 12 percentage from land resource, 8 percentage from crude oil, 6 percentage from precious metal and minerals, 23 percentage from water resource. Water is also second key player. Okay, then solar, 6 percentage from solar energy. So over here broadly we can see forest is the largest and biggest key player for our use. Then it is followed by natural gas, and third one is the water resource. These are the three key important resource for human use and human civilization. Okay, so thank you so much.